Coming in Facebook, coming in YouTube, getting ready to start my show called Jimmy Rants. Looks like Facebook decided to go fail on me, so let me see if I can fix that and try this again. Coming in, guys, we're going to start my show Jimmy Rants here momentarily. Facebook decided to have a brain fart this morning, so we're going to try to get that bad boy up and running again. See if we can get them on here. Sometimes when I do that on YouTube, it does the same thing. All right, it says error again. Okay. Let me back out of Facebook. Don't you love just like real time, like having to deal with technical stuff? So it happens. What do you do? All right, so let's try putting it in again. Come on in, guys. If you're watching on YouTube, we're getting ready to start my show, Jimmy Rants, over on Instagram Live. Here in about 4 minutes, trying to get my Facebook page to come up, and it's giving me 2 error messages already. And let's try this a third time. Are we live? I think we're live this time. If you're just joining us on Facebook, hello Johanna, thanks for being here on YouTube. If you're joining us on Facebook, I've tried to go live a couple times and it killed the broadcast before it even started. So Mark Zuckerberg, are you listening? Is this bothering you, Mark Zuckerberg? Hello, Marianne. Thank you for being here today. We're getting ready to start my show, Jimmy Rants, over on Instagram. What's up, Tracy? What's up, Nancy? I've got a really fascinating topic to share about here today. You're not going to believe what I'm about to share with you, but it is absolutely true, and I've got the documents to prove it, which we'll share here in a minute. What's up, Norma? Thank you for being here today. So I hope you guys had a great weekend and enjoyed yourself, relaxed a lot. It was hot as you know what here in South Carolina. I actually weed-eated my front and backyard on Friday, and then I mowed my front yard on Saturday, and then I mowed my backyard on Sunday. And so it was a 3-day kind of mowing process because it's just so hot out there. It drains you really fast. So I had trouble getting on also, says Norma. Now that's interesting. Starting the live, I had trouble getting it to come on, but once it's live, I don't know why anybody would have trouble, but thank you for letting me know, Norma. There's some screwy things going on social media right now that I am seeking to rectify. I've got my team working on moving all of this, where I originate the show, moving it all to a hosted site that we own, so we can basically make sure nothing is being censored. Hello, Millie. Thanks for being here. That's still a little whiles away. It's also a very cost prohibitive thing to do your own kind of live stream and have interactive on your own hosting website. That takes up a lot of bandwidth, and so we're working on the most cost-effective way, but definitely these traditional sources of social media are becoming less and less relevant as they censor information, and it's just a matter of time before all the good people get forced off of traditional social media. Hello, Mitzi. Hello, Herbie. So yes, we're about to start my show, Jimmy Rants, over on Instagram. Glenn Finkel, what's up, man? Hope you're doing well there in South Africa. We're getting ready to start my show called Jimmy Rants, and you're not going to want to miss this one here today because this is going to have a profound impact as this vaccine is on its way, on how it is pitched to the American people, and I assume it will be used as a template around the world. Hello, let's see, Vaughn and Mitzi says, hey. All right, so we're about 1.5 minutes away. We will get the show on the road here. Like I said, I hope you guys had a great weekend and you were able to get lots of relaxation in. I'll tell you what, I work my butt off all throughout the week so that I get to the weekends and I just slow down. And by design, it's one of the things that I learned during my sabbatical is not to just always go, 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 go. That I need to breathe at times, and that's not in my personality to naturally just slow down. I'm one of those people that will go until I can't go, and that was a problem, which was one of the reasons I went away on sabbatical in September. So And I'm also considering later this year, maybe the last 2 months of the year, just taking 2 total months off from doing everything, just to kind of refresh. This has been for everybody one heck of a year, and it has been for me. On top of, like, here's the thing everybody's forgetting, and then we got to get to Jimmy Rants. Everybody's forgetting COVID-19, the race relations stuff, all of that, everybody's going through. But before all that stuff hit, everybody was dealing with stuff in their own lives as well. So those things didn't just magically disappear. Those things are still there as well, and we kind of need to be taking care of ourselves in the midst of that. I'm going through something extremely difficult personally right now. On top of all the COVID-19 stuff, it's just made it a little bit worse. But we're still trucking along. We're still smiling. We're still doing all the things, because that's what you need to do. All right, let's get this show on the road over here on Instagram. Make sure I got the picture centered. And I do, right there. Stay. All right. And here we go. What's up, Josh? Thanks for being here today. Why are Yale researchers doing research on COVID-19 vaccine messaging? Find out the details here today on Jimmy Rants. Click on that little box down there in the corner. It'll take you straight to IGTV for today's episode. JimmyRants.com is the website, and as always, you can engage live in the content. You got to go follow me. I'm over on Instagram. I am at Living Low Carb Man, LIVINLOWCARBMAN. Once you're there, engage live, just like Elk 815 and Becoming Brittany Lee. What's up, you guys? Come on in. Lots of people coming in right now for today's episode. We do go live Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern time, so be there, be square. We also simulcast over there, over here on my Facebook page. Thank you guys for being here today, like Laurie and Anna and Brittany. Now, wait a minute, Brittany. You are on 2 devices simultaneously? I'm impressed. You're watching on both feeds. Do you get like an echo effect, echo? It's got to be an echo or something. So we also simulcast over on my YouTube channel. So thank you guys for being here. Thank you all for being here today on Jimmy Rants. If you missed the live, you can watch it on replay right here on IGTV. Shortly after the show is over, we post it up on my Instagram page, so you can watch it there if you happen to miss 11 a.m. Eastern time. So watch it there. We also put them up over on YouTube. If you type in a keyword Jimmy Rants, you will find the show. Finally, pop on over to JimmyRants.com. It is the official website for this here show. And once you're there, you can see all the past episodes, 550 plus episodes and counting now. And while you're there, if you like what I do, if you like the information, I try to keep you on the cutting edge. What's up, Shirley, over on YouTube? Then consider becoming a part of my Insider Club. Click on the Patreon link, and a donation of any amount would be greatly appreciated. We have all kinds of extra little perks for my Patreons, and we're real close. When we reach a certain threshold of members there, I'm going to be doing exclusive Jimmy Rants episodes. I'm trying to figure out a way to do it so that those people get a code that we can all do a Zoom call for that meeting, for that Jimmy Rants episode, and then you would have exclusive access to that one, and more interaction with me, and exclusive access to watch that for probably a week or 2, and then we'll put it up on YouTube after a couple weeks. So lots of fun things happening. Click on the Patreon link at JimmyRants.com. Okay, you guys. We are hearing so much out there in the mainstream that the vaccine is coming, and we should all be anticipating the vaccine, and once it's here, we can get back to our normal lives if we all just take the vaccine. And of course, you and I both know that there are plenty of people out there that are like, vaccine? No way, Jose, get out of here. And so you may not realize it, but there are things happening behind the scenes to try to figure out what is the best way to convince Americans that they need to be taking this vaccine. And so there's actually a study on this very thing. I am not joking. Like when I teased this one last night and this morning, people are like, no, they're not going to research that. They're not going to, do any kind of thing. Trust me. Food companies do it all the time. Restaurant chains, trust me, every sector of society does little test markets of things to see how they will go. And so Yale University has stepped up to the plate, and they are working on a COVID-19 vaccine messaging study. And according to the paperwork from clinicaltrials.gov, look, it's only just part one. So this is part one of however many parts they're going to do of trying to convince you that you need to be taking this vaccine. And what they want to look at is testing different messaging as it relates to the COVID-19 vaccination. But keep in mind, they're rushing this vaccine. And so they want to know, what would it take to convince you to take this rushed vaccine? And so they're going to look at it. We're going to go over all of the things they're going to test in this study to determine what it's going to take to get people to come to the dark side and take the vaccine. So the study tests different messages about vaccinations against COVID-19 once the vaccine becomes available. So what they've done is the participants, which are 4,000 people, it's a clinical interventional trial. They're going to be randomized to one of 12 different arms. So they're going to look at 12 different ways to convince you, and that includes the control arm as well, but ostensibly 11 different ways to convince you that you need to be taking the COVID-19 vaccine, one control arm and one baseline arm. So actually they're looking at 10 different messages. What they will do is compare the reported willingness to get a COVID-19 vaccine at 3 months and 6 months of it becoming available between the 10 intervention arms compared to the two controlled arms. Study participants are recruited online by Lucid, which I assume is a recruitment website that gets people to come to clinical trials. And what they're going to do is match census-based sampling in online recruitment. It's a totally randomized trial. The intervention is a parallel assignment. In other words, they all are basically running at the same time along the same timeline. And what did I see? The requirements eligibility is you have to be 18 years or older. They're looking for all sexes for the study. They're accepting healthy volunteers because healthy people also they will want to try to convince to take the COVID-19 vaccine. You must be a U.S. resident. The only ones excluded are younger than 18, non-U.S. resident, or you don't sign the consent form. So those are the people ineligible. If you're just joining us, yes, Yale researchers are looking right now at doing a study of 4,000 people in America trying to determine what it's going to take to convince you to take a COVID-19 vaccine. Now, this study is currently in the process of getting participants. I see somebody's asking what the name of the study. It's not out yet, but if you go to clinicaltrials.gov, this is where I found this one, and you look up COVID-19 vaccine messaging, part 1, you can see exactly what I'm reading from here today. But this is a real study where they're trying to assess what is it going to take to get you, the consumer in America, to take this vaccine when it becomes available. All right, so let's take a look at this. The official title that they're going with is Persuasive Messages for COVID-19 Vaccine Uptake, a Randomized Controlled Trial, Part 1. The Part 1 part is what's getting me the most. It means they're not quite sure this is going to be enough. They're probably going to have to do a follow-up. All right, so what are they looking at? And we'll go into great detail about this, but I want to give you an overview. So the condition is getting a vaccine for COVID-19. The intervention and treatment, they're going to do a control message, which you'll find out here in a minute what it is. The baseline message, and then here are the 10 guys. They're going to try to convince you based on personal freedom, economic freedom, self-interest, community interest, economic benefit, guilt, embarrassment, anger, trust in science, and you're not brave enough. So those are the messages they're going to try to push. And we're going to get into more details about those here in a second. But that is the angle of the study. So this was submitted, by the way. The study start date was July the 3rd, so it's currently underway. I guess they're getting participants coming in and they're exposing them to these messages. Okay. So the sham comparator is a control. So the control is a message about bird feeding. So what they will do is or a portion of the control arm is going to be sampled with the assignment to this pure control group. It's a passage on the cost and benefits of bird feeding. They just want to see, okay, are you being convinced about bird feeders, just to see what a natural response would be to someone being trying to convince to, so they could compare it with the COVID results. All right, the baseline message, these participants will be assigned a message about the benefits of vaccine, all other treatment arms, including the baseline language. This sample will be assigned to a control group with a message about the effectiveness and safety of vaccines. So they're just basically giving a straight message, the safety and effectiveness of vaccines. That is a baseline message. So in other words, how do people respond just to the pure, here's the safety and efficacy of a vaccine, you want to do it? They're not trying to convince them, they're just saying, this is what it is. And they want to see how many agree, how many disagree. Okay? Personal freedom. This is an experimental message arm. The sample will be assigned to this intervention, which is a message about how COVID-19 is limiting people's personal freedom. And by working together, we can get enough people to be vaccinated, society can preserve its personal freedom. Now that's an interesting angle because a lot of people are opposed to vaccinations based on personal freedom, that they don't want to give up their right to say no to a vaccine. And yet in this arm, they're going to make the case that personal freedom is the reason why you want to get the vaccine. So personal freedom is the first one. Economic freedom. In this sample, each person will be assigned to the intervention, which is a message about how COVID-19 is limiting people's economic freedom by working together to get enough people vaccinated so society can preserve economic freedom. So right now, we've got a lot of people not being able to go to work, or certain sectors of the economy are still shut down, and so they will appeal to those people that, well, we need to all get vaccinated so we can all get back to work again and start making money, and the economy can be revived. And if we all get the vaccination, then we'll all be able to preserve the economic freedom. Very, very interesting how they're going to push all these things. The next arm in the study, social benefit and self-interest. It's a message that COVID-19 presents a real danger to your health, even if you're young and healthy. Getting a vaccination against COVID-19 is the best way to prevent yourself from getting sick. So this is where they're trying to tell people, okay, you're putting yourself at risk if you don't get this vaccine, and your health, we're seeing people, it doesn't matter how unhealthy they are, how healthy they are, how young they are, how old they are, they're getting COVID-19, even though the data is 40% of all the people who have died from COVID-19 were over the age of 85 in nursing homes. They conveniently leave that part out of the stories when they talk about COVID-19, and that the vast majority of people under the age of 50 are not getting this to a great degree. But they're going to try to convince you that whether you're young, healthy or not, you are in real danger if you don't get this COVID-19 vaccine. Next one. Social benefit, the community interest. You'll get a message about the dangers of COVID-19 to the health of your loved ones. Oh, poor grandma. You've got to do this for grandma. Won't you get the COVID-19 vaccine so grandma can live? Don't think they won't try that one. The more people who get vaccinated against COVID-19, the lower the risk that loved ones will get sick. Society must work together, and thus we all must become vaccinated. So if you're joining us late, this is a brand new study being conducted by researchers at Yale University. It is currently going on right now. I found this on clinicaltrials.gov. You can go look it up. COVID-19 vaccine messaging part 1. And they're looking at 10 different messages to try to see which one is going to resonate the most with people to convince them to take this vaccine when it becomes available. Next one, economic benefit. It'll be a message about how COVID-19 is wreaking havoc on the economy, and the only way to strengthen the economy is to work together to get enough people vaccinated. So this is similar to economic freedom, which we mentioned earlier, but even more on a localized level. Oh, you know, people that have lost their job, and you know, you could help Johnny down the road get back to work again if you just go get this vaccine. And so they're going to test that in one of the arms. Next one, social pressure and guilt. This message is about the danger that COVID-19 presents to the health of your family and your community. The best way to protect all of them is by getting vaccinated, and then society must work together to get everyone vaccinated. Then it asks the participant to imagine the guilt that they will feel if they're the only ones that don't get vaccinated, and then they keep spreading the disease. Man, can I tell you, if they try that one on people, there will be such revolt. I cannot imagine people taking too kindly of being made to feel guilty. It's kind of like the mask thing right now. You go into a store and you see anyone that's not wearing a mask, do you see all eyeballs looking at those people? Do you see them trying to look at them in shame? And in some areas, I posted some of the viral videos, some areas they're actually like calling them out publicly. And then the shame that that person is supposed to feel, they're already doing that with masks. So why wouldn't it work with vaccinations? They're gonna try, at least in one of these arms of this study. Next one, social pressure, embarrassment. The message is about the danger of COVID-19 on the health of your family and community. The best way to protect them is getting vaccinated by working together to make sure enough people get vaccinated. Then it asks the participant to imagine just how embarrassed you will be if you don't get vaccinated and spread the disease. So they're going to try to guilt trip people into, will that work? Will that make you? Is the threat of being embarrassed? Now you've got those people, you can't do anything to embarrass them. They just don't care. So I don't know how effective that wing is going to be, but we'll see from the study. Next one, social pressure, anger. The best way to protect others is getting vaccinated by working together to get enough people vaccinated. Then it will ask the participant, imagine the anger they will feel if they don't get vaccinated and spread the disease. Will people feel angry? I don't know. Guilt, embarrassment, anger, will they feel any of those things? What if that person says, well, it was my choice? I guess they're trying to say, okay, it's not about just you, it's about all the people around you that you could possibly inflict with the virus. Of course, the question becomes, well, if all those people have the vaccine, why do you care? You didn't get the vaccine, so how would you be infecting people getting the vaccine? They're not talking about that. Two more. Trust in science is the next one. This sample will be assigned to the message about getting vaccinated against COVID-19 as the most effective way of protecting your community. Vaccination is backed by the science. If one doesn't get vaccinated, that means that one doesn't understand how infections are spread or who ignores the science. Oh, if they try that with certain of us that are into science and we understand science abundantly and we understand that vaccines can be flawed and can be harmful in certain situations, yeah, that one's probably not going to fly very well. But there will be people that will be in awe. Oh, well, science says it's vetted. Oh, okay. What's funny to me is we've had hydroxychloroquine, for example, as a viable drug for 60 years. It's been out there a very long time in our culture. And now it's being vilified because it's not backed, quote, by the science, end quote. 60-year-old drug never had an issue before now. Now they're going to try to rush a vaccine in less than a year and try to put it out there and tell you it's based on science. Can somebody explain that one to me? How are they going to, with a straight face, say that this one is backed by science in less than a year of development and no vaccine has ever been created that fast before in all of world history? And yet hydroxychloroquine is the grand boogeyman because, oh, it's been out there 60, 70 years, but it's not backed by the science. Really? That one ain't gonna fly, trust in science. And the last one, you're just not brave enough. This sample will be assigned to the message which describes how firefighters and doctors and frontline medical workers are so brave. And those who choose not to get vaccinated against COVID-19, you're just not brave enough. So they're going to try all of these messages, guys. And if you joined us late, there is a brand new study out of Yale University. It's currently being conducted. They've got 4,000 participants, 18 years or older, American citizens of all ages, all health, everything. And they want to look at what message is going to convince you, the American people, to take a COVID-19 vaccine. And so personal freedom message, economic freedom, self-interest, community interest, economic benefit, guilt message, embarrassment message, anger, trust in science, and you're not brave enough as the messages. So the intention in the primary outcome measures is to get COVID-19 vaccine into everybody immediately after intervention in the same survey in which the intervention message is provided. This is a self-reported measure immediately after the intervention message of the likelihood of getting a COVID-19 vaccination within 3 months and then 6 months of it becoming available. During analysis, responses among those assigned to different intervention messages will be compared to those in the control group, which remember, the one baseline control group is just vaccines are safe and they're effective. What do you think? That's the baseline. And then the control group is talking about bird feeding. So what are some of the secondary outcome measures? Vaccine confidence scale, immediately after intervention in the same survey in which the intervention message is provided. This is a validated scale. The scale will be used to assess the impact of the messages on vaccine confidence, outcome assessed only for half of the sample that answers these items post-treatment. Number 2, a secondary outcome, persuade others item. This is a measure of a willingness by people to persuade other people to take the COVID-19 vaccination. So not only are they trying to see what message will resonate with people to get them to take the COVID-19 vaccine, but what message will those people who are willing to do it take it to their friends and family and coworkers and all the people in their sphere of influence to persuade them to take the vaccine. Next on the secondary outcomes, fear of those who have not been vaccinated. This is a measure of a comfort with an unvaccinated individual visiting an elderly friend after a vaccine becomes available. So if you don't take a vaccine, okay, you go visit an elderly friend, you're kind of putting them at risk. They're going to be seeing how much that influences people. And then the last one of secondary outcomes, social judgment of those who do not vaccinate. This is a scale composed of 4 items measuring trustworthiness, selfishness, likableness, and competence of those who choose not to get vaccine after a vaccine becomes available. So they don't think you're very trustworthy. They think you are selfish. They don't think you're very likable, and you're not very competent if you decide not to take the COVID-19 vaccine. So once again, it's 18 years and older, all sexes eligible, even healthy volunteers. And this is published in clinicaltrials.gov right now. So again, go check that out, you guys, clinicaltrials.gov. The name of the study, once it does get published, the official title, Persuasive Messages for COVID-19 Vaccine Uptake, a randomized controlled trial, part 1. So what I'm reading here today is not the end of the story. This is just part 1 of a multiple wing study. I'm assuming they're going to see, okay, what can we whittle it down to? All right, so is it 2, 3, 4 that really resonate with people? Okay, let's do another study that then takes that data and then adds to it. So obviously, as that new part 2 starts to come in, I'll let you guys know. But this was posted on July the 7th. And yeah, it's currently underway. But what do you think about this? Like, did you realize they did studies on things like this? On how to properly message you for taking a vaccine? Like, to me, if the vaccine is the bee's knees and it's all that, why don't you just give people the information and let them decide for themselves? Why don't you give them all the information? Like, they're not talking about the things that they're putting in this vaccine. That's what has people concerned the most. And they didn't do anything in here talking about the skepticism based on fears of what's going to be in the vaccine. Because we've heard everything from putting a microchip in there. And of course, that's conspiracy theory. But still, there are concerns that people have about that. There's concerns that they're putting not just SARS-CoV-2 in there, they're putting all kinds of other things in there. There's concerns that in the clinical trials, they have to do multiple doses of the vaccine that the Moderna vaccine. They're talking about doing multiple doses at a very high level that in the clinical trial right now, people are having adverse effects. And so how do you acquiesce those fears? Like, they want to talk about how to convince you to take this vaccine, but they're not addressing the fears that are making people hesitant about wanting to take the vaccine. And they had a golden opportunity to address that in this study. Now, maybe that'll be a part of part 2 when they get into the second part of the messaging. But right now it seems like, oh, well, what can we do to convince people rather than looking at what are the concerns people have. You're going to always have your anti-vaccine people. They're out there in full force, always have been, and they're just never going to take a vaccine no matter what you say. But then you have real people who have serious concerns about how rushed this is. There's serious concerns about looking at the side effects that people are reporting in the Moderna trial. There's several different COVID-19 vaccines being worked on, but the Moderna trial is the one that's showing the most promise. And in that study, in that second phase of the study and the trial, the patients are not doing well. Now, they're warding off COVID-19, but they're not doing physically well. They're getting sick from it. And they're having to use very high dosage of it and multiple dosage. So that's a concern that, again, I feel like they need to be addressing if they're going to truly be looking at the messaging behind getting people to take a COVID-19 vaccine. But pretty interesting study that they are looking at right now, trying to figure out how do they convince Americans that they need to be taking this vaccine when it comes out. And I'm real curious to see what would convince you to take the vaccine, or are you one of those people, no way, Jose, there's nothing that could get them to do it. And then what happens if these messages don't work? What happens that they could maybe make it compulsory that you have to take it, and then if you don't take it, you can't get on a plane, or you don't take it, you can't go into certain businesses? Is there, like, right now there's like no mask policies going into stores? Will there be you got to show us your vaccine card or you don't come in the store? Like, these are the kinds of things that are going to be interesting to watch as all this unfolds. All right, let's see what you guys have to say. So I'm going to come over here to my Instagram page first, then over to Facebook, finally over to YouTube. Thank you all for being here today on Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. Brittany says, this is so disgusting. Yeah. How do we manipulate people? A study, she said. Well, and it's interesting to me. It's like, why do you need to have a messaging? Now I get it. I'm in the marketing business. I have represented companies and pitched products. So I get you have to accentuate positives to convince people to consume. But this is a whole nother ballgame. Like, it's almost as if, well, we know people are going to say no to it. So how can we convince them that they need to say yes? How can we, some people would say, how can we bamboozle them into saying yes? And I'm convinced there is a large segment of the population who, if they had their druthers and they had their choice, would never ever take this vaccine. And a lot of us also feel like, okay, we have done things for our health to boost our immunity and to try to make us as healthy as possible. And we're doing all the things by washing hands and social distancing and la 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 la. And so we feel like we're doing all those things already. Why force us into taking a vaccine for something that we take on the personal choice and responsibility if we happen to get COVID-19? To me, let people have the choice. Why make it compulsory or try to convince them via messaging to take something they don't want to take? Gabe says, how will they know who takes the vaccine? There's probably going to be a registry, I would assume. I don't know is the answer, Gabe, but I'm assuming if you get the vaccine, you'll be put on some kind of a registry, just like when you register to vote. You're on a registry when you go to the polling place and they have your name on a list. I'm assuming it's the same way with the vaccines. They'll have some kind of a registry that shows that you have it, or maybe they'll give you a card. I've been vaccinated. Who knows? Science isn't always concrete. New studies and information come out daily. Please with this one. Yes, that's true, Brittany. And the unfortunate thing is we're being told the science shows this is true. Well, the science, there is no the science. The science is constantly evolving by the very nature of science. Everybody says settled science. No, science by its very definition is not settled. Science is always examining what we believe is true. Now, there's things that we have good evidence for, very strong evidence for, has veracity, but that doesn't mean that in science, if new evidence comes along that dismantles that solid science, you don't look at it. Of course you do. And that's what good science does. How do we have science on a vaccine so quickly? We don't. In fact, when a reporter from CBS, I applaud her, I looked at this video the other day, she asked Bill Gates that question, and he's like, oh, well, we have lots of long-term data that show, I'm like, long-term? Like, he's talking about the second phase of that Moderna trial. Long-term? Those people have been in the trial for just a few months. How do you have years? That's long-term. You ask people what long-term is. It's years, maybe decades, long-term. 3-4 months is not long-term. So no, we don't have long-term studies about this. We don't know what they're going to do. I understand the rush, but safety and efficacy have to be considered. Always, always, always. Becca says Virology Journal indicated chloroquine potent inhibitor of SARS coronavirus infection and spread. Yeah, if my memory serves correct, that's the one that Dr. Fauci was actually a part of in 2005, I believe it was, where he was touting the effects of things like hydroxychloroquine and their safety, and yet now he's kind of done a flip-flop on that. It's unfortunate. Beth says, do you know the level of persistence other countries have on vaccine matters? I'm curious. I know that a vaccine is being looked at in other countries. I had just someone this morning when I said I was going to talk about this message here. They're like, yeah, they're talking in the UK about creating a vaccine, but they're talking very publicly about cleaning up your diet and trying to become healthy, and that through that you'll defeat COVID-19. Why aren't we seeing that here in America? Like, how easy would it be for all of them to say, you know what, this is such a novel coronavirus, that's what they keep calling it, a novel coronavirus, that we need to get our act together when it comes to our health, and here's the things that you can do. The problem is there's too many public interests involved between the food companies and the pharmaceutical companies, which you've heard me talk about for many years as it relates to health in general. Well, now we're in a crisis. I think that gig is up. They need to stop protecting their friends in the food industry and their friends in the pharmaceutical industry. And it's about actually being for public health for once in your life. But yeah, other countries are not as like go, go, go when it comes to the vaccine and doing vaccinations, because they're looking at it from a big picture perspective. I know attorneys will hold mock trials and focus group, but didn't know about this level of shystiness. Yeah, and this is the one we know about. This doesn't even count like maybe some surveys they're doing privately through other companies. This is an open study being conducted by Yale University. They're probably doing focus groups behind the scenes. Okay, what message is resonating now? What do people, are they being convinced by all those anti-vaxxers? Oh my gosh, okay, well, we need to say this, this, and this. Let's see how that goes. Go. And those things are happening. Brittany says, I took a marketing class in college. I can see through marketing. Marketing, aka manipulation, is a tricky, sticky subject. Well, and unfortunately, marketing has been here for a very long time. It's why you go buy stuff in stores after you see a TV commercial. That is what marketing does. It creates an impression. And so if they're trying to market a COVID-19 vaccine, they're going to try to figure out what message is going to make you want to have a needle stuck in your arm. And again, what percentage of the population would never, unless they are forced to? I don't know. I think it's significant though. Gabe says, no way for me. Guilt will work on some people. I've been family shamed for not getting tested. I have not been tested for COVID-19. I have had 2 antibody tests done. One about 3 months ago, and it came back negative for both of the antibodies. And then I wear the Oura ring, and I've been participating in a COVID-19 study with the Oura ring, and they sent me an antibodies test. I do not have the results of that test, but I assumed if it was positive, they would have let me know. But this is denying like T cells may be dealing with it appropriately, where you wouldn't have antibody production, and yet you have had COVID-19, but you have no remnants of it in your body. This is why so many people are probably asymptomatic and have never had it, because maybe they've had it in their T cells and their immune system fought it off. So many things, but that's a shame. They're trying to shame you for not getting tested. If you're healthy, why do you need to be tested, right? Bess says, some people, I am some people. How can they bamboozle us, kind of some people? Yeah, exactly. Gabe says, we'll have to wear the card around our necks for all to see, or they might stick it on your arm or have it on your forehead. If you ever read American literature, the Scarlet Letter, maybe we'll have the Scarlet Letter on all of us. Food is medicine, not big pharma. Yes. Hear, hear. No disagreement from Jimmy on that one. All right, thank you, Instagram. Let me pop over here now to my Facebook page. What's up, you guys? Thanks for being here today on Jimmy Rants. See what you have to say about this one. They are censoring like crazy, says Jill. They want to suppress any treatments that could eliminate the need for it. They are. And I just posted something today all over social media about, hey, look, if there's other doctors, medical professionals that are finding efficacy in something besides waiting for a vaccine and besides all the other things that are being put out there, then why aren't we listening to them, or why aren't we at least engaging in conversation and having a public debate? The censorship is extremely scary because that's not the America that I grew up in. The America I grew up in is, if you have an alternative viewpoint, it's heard, it's debated, we present evidence on both sides, and then people are allowed to decide for themselves what to believe. Right now, when you censor information, just because it disagrees with the mainstream narrative, doesn't mean it's wrong. And it doesn't mean it has no validity in the conversation. It means it's another piece to the puzzle and an argument being put out there that we need to talk about. And if there is no validity to it, then it'll come out in that discussion. But what's happening now is you got big tech Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, all of them are censoring information just because it runs counter to the mainstream message. Who gets the right to censor one thing and not censor another? Don't censor it unless it's profane, hate speech, or pornography, or inciting violence. We've already seen these messages. Makes one wonder if we've been played. Yeah, we're seeing all those messages, but they want to see which one will take the most. Be interesting to see what does rise to the top. I missed the first little bit and didn't hear who was funding the study. Does it say? Judy, no, it does not say. It just says it's from Yale University. But I will tell you, Yale has gotten a ton of coronavirus COVID-19 dollars from the NIH. So I don't know if this is an NIH funded study. It does not say in this clinicaltrials.gov paperwork, but it says when you start looking up sponsors and collaborations by Yale University. So they have taken money, I know, to start looking into various things related to COVID-19. And I assume this is just another one. And a lot of that money did come from the NIH. Nancy says, sorry, as a former marketing person, this doesn't bother me. This is done all the time in politics and products. Sounds like a PhD dissertation research project to me. I'm more curious now to see which route they take to promote the vaccine. I'm sure there will be vaccine opposition promotion as well. It will be just another dispute like the masks. People can make their own decision. And at the end of the day, Nancy, that's the thing. Why don't we just provide the information? Okay, the vaccine is safe and has great efficacy. And then let people decide for themselves based on the facts of what they show it being safe and show it being effective. And then the other side gets a chance to say, well, no, here's why it's not safe, and here's why it's not effective. And then let people choose for themselves after they hear both sides. I believe in people being able to rationally think for themselves. This whole idea that we need to have some nanny state tell us what we're supposed to think and what we're supposed to believe at any given time has been so incredible to watch unfold in 2020. Like, at the end of the day, do we want other people thinking for us? I don't. Jimmy Moore knows how to think quite well for himself. Thank you very much. But I want to see all sides of an issue, not just one side, and try to make a decision based on what one side is saying. No, let me hear one side. Now let me hear the antithesis of that side. And then in the middle, I'm going to figure out, okay, which is best, leaning more this way or leaning more that way. Right now, we're getting a very monopolistic view of what the reality is. You youngsters don't remember the polio vaccine sugar cubes in the 1960s. That was controversial as well. Oh yeah, there's many examples of that in our history, I'm sure, but thank you for that, Nancy. You made my point. Both sides will present, you decide. Exactly. That is the bottom line. And that's the way it's always been in America until this year. Suddenly this year, people have turned off their head, don't want to have any kind of cognitive thinking about any of this stuff. They just want people to tell them what to do. And of course, that's kind of a product of the generation of you go to the doctor and they give you a pill to fix whatever your ailment is rather than getting to the root cause. Are we seeing the same thing with the vaccine? Are we being told, wait on the vaccine? The vaccine's the cure, when all along a drug is not the cure after all? See, that's why so many of us in the keto and carnivore space are skeptical, not because of any other reason other than we've been lied to about other things before. So why are we supposed to suddenly believe that this vaccine is going to be the cure-all for COVID-19 when we have seen them lie about all kinds of things before? And I guess that's what's gotten a lot of people a little more vocal in our community, is we're used to being skeptical of the science because they have lied to us before. Thank you, Facebook. Let's pop over here to my YouTube channel, see what you guys have to say. Shirley says, I realized I was being brainwashed when I discovered keto. Exactly what I was just saying. Now I don't trust anything the mainstream pushes without really looking into it. I will not be bamboozled again. I've never had the fly vaccine, and that's been pushed for years. Do they really think they can convince me to take something that's brand new? I've seen how, quote, well, end quote, the flu vaccine works. Yeah, there's a lot of people. They get that darn flu vaccine every year thinking, okay, that's going to prevent me from having the flu. And what they don't tell people is if you get the flu vaccine, you're more likely to get the flu than if you don't get the flu vaccine. Because people don't understand vaccines are designed to put a little bit of the thing that you're trying to avoid in your body. And this is something nobody's talking about either. They're trying to develop a COVID-19 vaccine. Well, they're going to put a little bit of SARS-CoV-2 in it. And we're all trying to avoid COVID-19 like the plague right now. What happens when it's directly injected into your body? And if we're being told, oh my gosh, there's all these lingering effects from just having it in your blood system. Well, you're about to inject it into a whole lot of people. How is it not going to do the same thing, even in the lower dose, I suppose? I guess the theory is you put it in the low dose, your immune system fights it off before it ravages your body. But what if it doesn't? What if it actually makes people more susceptible to all those supposed things that's supposed to happen? A lot of questions here. But if you joined us late, please go back and rewatch the replay here. Yale researchers are examining COVID-19 vaccine messages, and they're doing a study actively right now. Go to clinicaltrials.gov, look up COVID-19 vaccine messaging, part 1. And they're currently looking at 4,000 people. They're currently recruiting participants of all ages that are 18 years and older in America, healthy, unhealthy, all across the spectrum, to see what will it take to convince you to take this COVID-19 vaccine. They're going to look at them at 6 months before the vaccine's available, and then 3 months before the vaccine. They're trying to gauge, okay, as we get closer to it being available, what will you do? What will convince you to take it? Can we guilt trip you into it? No? Okay. Can we talk about your family and your community's health? No, that's not going to work. Okay. How about the economics of everything? Don't you want everybody to go back to work? Will that work? No. Okay. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting if they do all 10 of those messages. How many people in the study will reject all 10? And what do they do with that data? What do they do if people just outright reject a vaccine no matter what the message is? Is this maybe, and I'm just spitballing it here, is this maybe a test of, okay, do we have to force people to get the vaccine? Or can we fool them into it first? If we can fool them into it, we'd prefer that. But if we get a high enough response that nobody is responding to any of the messages that we are putting in this study, that will be our green light that we need to force this on the American people. I don't know that. I'm just spitballing. I'm just thinking out loud here. But what happens if of those 4,000 people, 3,000 of them don't respond to any of the 10 wings? What will they do then? Because they're going to need enough people taking this vaccine for a lot of reasons, but it's going to be so interesting to watch come down the pike. And like I said, I will be on the lookout for part 2. They purposely put part 1, which means ostensibly there will be more parts than just part 1. So I'll be looking for those as they come out. But interesting stuff, interesting times we're living in. Just thought you would want to know about this one, that they are actively trying to market you to get you to take the COVID-19 vaccine. And if that doesn't work, what is next? And I think we all know what's next. That's it for this episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. And as always, you can engage live in the content. You got to go follow me right here on Instagram. I am at Living Low Carb Man, LIVINLOWCARBMAN. We're here Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, so be there, be square. We enjoy doing these shows for you here on Instagram. We also simulcast live over here on my Facebook page as well as on my YouTube channel. Thank you all for being here today on Jimmy Rants. If you missed the live, you can watch it on replay on IGTV right here on Instagram. We also throw the past episodes up over on YouTube. Type in a keyword Jimmy Rants, you will find the show. Finally, go to jimmyrants.com. It is the official website for this here show. You can see all the past episodes there. And while you're there, support the show. Click on the Patreon link, and a donation of any amount would be greatly appreciated. All right, guys, that's it for now. We'll be back again soon. Bye. All right. Dun, 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 ding. Oh, so what'd you think? I mean, this is really, really interesting. Like, I know that we've been messaged over the years. I have noticed that more and more as I've gotten older. And anyone who just thinks things happen by chance, you haven't been really paying attention. A lot of things are orchestrated and forecasts based on like marketing. They know what convinces people to do certain things, especially here on Facebook. You think your Facebook experience is just like random? Everything you see and hear on Facebook is by design marketed to you and your activity there. Even on YouTube, when I go to YouTube, you'll see them recommend content on your front page, the recommended content, and you're like, well, wait a minute, how do they know I like Jeff Dunham video? You know, how do they know? It's because they kind of look at your patterns and they know what you like. They do. And I have seen many a time when I have been on my devices and I'm just having a conversation speaking about things, and sometimes it'll be a product or something, and next thing I know, I get a pop-up ad that has that very thing on the pop-up ad. I have seen that way, way too often to not believe that they hear us when we talk out loud. The microphones pick up your voice, and then they throw an ad up there for that thing. I know you've seen that over the years as well. It's almost hard to miss it now. You almost kind of laugh at it now because it's become so much a part of just the way they operate on these sites. So, all right, guys, let me pop off of here for now. Thank you so much for watching, and it's always a pleasure to be here with you. I hope you have a great rest of your Monday, and we'll be back again tomorrow. Bye. Bye, YouTube.